And today we have a guest with us. Today is Travis. He's my boss. He's a man who I was super surprised that once you came in, you were a huge game nerd. So we started talking about video games like all the time. So I was like, this is perfect. We got to get him on an episode. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
That's good. That's good. Definitely want to get into what you're playing, but first I want to get a small introduction, ask you a couple questions so people can learn a little bit about you. First and foremost, how often do you game?
Let's see. I wrote some of these questions down. So I pretty much game every day. Given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get up early to exercise and meditate and kind of spend time with myself, but that also includes playing video games.
Yeah.
Or just before work, I've got kids before they get up. It's great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely I wish I would wake up earlier in game, but I game really late at night. And so a lot of the times my gaming sessions are just like a haze of like almost in and out of consciousness, just grinding like one more. I
call that a walking up the mountain with a fishing pole in hand moment.
Yeah.
Which came from Skyrim, where I got the fishing mod, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go fishing. And it was late at night, and I found myself walking up a mountain with a fishing pole. Like, I kind of startled awake, and I was like, okay, time to go to sleep.
What am I doing?
Yeah, what am I doing?
That's great. And then second question, what game genre stands out to you most?
JRPGs is probably my hyperfixation right now. As far as games go, I didn't even really get into RPGs until last year. I had always been interested, but they seemed complicated.
Yeah,
and some of them are, and that's. But I've fallen in love with the challenge.
Yeah,
and the grind and learning. The best way to do, parts of that game.
Yeah. Do you remember which was the first RPG you played?
Oh,
like
last year?
Yeah.
Super Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Original SNES.
I still got to play it.
Nice. I love that one.
It's so good.
It's such a good one.
And I love it because it's a Square Enix game. Mm-hmm. Like it's a Nintendo game, but Square Enix produced it, and there's a secret boss that's designed by Tetsuya Nomura.
Yeah.
Who we can talk about later because he's awesome, and he is not like any of the other Super Mario bosses.
Yeah.
His name's Kulex.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like this big demon. He's a secret boss.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only boss I have left to fight. I've beaten everyone else.
Yeah.
But that was my first into the RPG realm.
It's a great first RPG. I think that was like wonderful. My first one too when I was a kid.
And it's short enough to be entertaining without feeling like you're drowning in it.
Mm-hmm. It's only like 15 to 20 hours, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I clocked about 15 on it. Which in a similar type of game, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, I played shortly after that. That was about 20 hours. It was a Game Boy Advance game.
Yeah.
And the combat system is so good. And I saw a funny meme about basically they took baseball players and overlaid the commands from Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga and then put the battle music over it, and they were kind of dancing side to side how they do in the game. It was funny.
Oh, damn. I got to see that.
Oh, man.
Third question. What are some game mechanics you enjoy or wish were better represented?
I really like when you're able to, specifically in RPGs, action or turn-based, when you're able to use all or some of your party members to do combined attacks. Mm-hmm. And I have some notes on that. So specifically, like in Chrono Trigger, you could do 2 or 3 person attacks. Super Mario RPG Remake had the triple attack, which was not in the SNES version of it. Sea of Stars.
Yeah, we've been playing Sea of Stars.
Does it so beautifully. And you can do it with almost every character.
Yeah. I think part of the reason I downloaded Mario and Luigi Brothership is to get that experience of doing the little mini games of combined attacks between the two of them to get different effects. But I agree with you. I like that. I also like it when you can use every party member that you have, like in Final Fantasy. I think in 10 you can pull people in out of the back line, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I like that when you can use your full party to their full extent.
I did like how in Final Fantasy VII, when you fight Sephiroth at the end, you switch. You can go with everyone who's in your party. Well, I guess it's 6 party members, but so whatever 6 you brought to the end, you can switch out fighting Sephiroth that way.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Never made it past. I beat Midgar in the original 7, but then once I got to the open world, I was like, I'm just gonna play 7 remake.
Yeah, it's so funny because the remake is basically the first 5 hours of the original expanded into a 40-hour game.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because that's how long it took me. I only had 5 hours of playtime, and I beat Midgar. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost after that.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see an actual. Well, I know that there's a Final Fantasy on the phone, the one that does Ever Crisis, which is like an updated version of the game, but it's also a mobile game.
Yeah.
But I would like to play the original Final Fantasy, but with updated models, because I love the little chibi models that they have. So I've always wanted to see them updated in a regular game. All right, final question. Which video game character best represents you?
So recently playing Final Fantasy VIII, my first thought was Squall, because he's kind of reserved, he's quiet, but also he just seems really angry. And so I kind of shifted more to Chrono from Chrono Trigger because in my opinion, he's selfless and brave, and he's tough, and those are attributes that I would like to emulate or hold dear.
I think that's it. I was gonna say, yeah. I find you have a lot more joy than Squall does. So.
He's kind of a sour guy.
Yeah, he's a sour guy. Like when he goes in a room, all the energy is sucked out. When you come in a room, it's the exact opposite. So I was gonna say, I was like, I'm like, I understand the Squall, but I was like, personally, I was going to say I don't feel like you are nearly as much of a headache as him, and I like the guy.
Yeah, he's a great character.
And then final bonus question: if you can take one item from any video game character, what would you take, and what would you use it on?
I think Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games.
Yes, and
so I will reference it often in my life. I did a whole slideshow on why you should play Chrono Trigger for our slideshow night that me and my friends had. Mm-hmm. And so with that said, it would probably be something that would allow me to time travel.
Yeah.
Like the pendant or even the time travel machine that they eventually get.
Okay.
That would be so cool.
So if you could time travel, what's one thing you would do with time travel?
I'd go see a Led Zeppelin concert.
Nice. That's awesome.
Just go back to the 70s and see all the musicians that I would have loved to see live and just see them live. And I don't know, buy one of those magazines that they got in Back to the Future 2 that with all the betting results.
Oh.
Like sports stats, and then I would be rich in the future.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the 80s, grab that magazine, go to a concert, come back.
Yeah.
And then I'd be rich.
That's smart. Okay. We're going to go ahead and get into, I think, probably my favorite thing to do is go over language defining games. So this is when we bring a guest on, or Jason and I bring a game ourselves, where we talk about a game that is important to you in some way. It doesn't have to be your favorite game, your least favorite game, but just something that was memorable to you. What game are you bringing for us to talk about today?
Today I brought Final Fantasy X for the PS2.
Yeah.
I played the HD remaster recently on the Switch. And it was life-changing.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to it. It was actually a life-changing game for me, too. The ending. Just the overall concept. But we'll ask you the questions, and I'll relate later. So, first and foremost, what I want to ask about is the story. It's okay if you spoil. The game is old as hell.
It's very old. So yeah.
So I want to ask, like, what stood out to you about the story throughout your entire play session of the game?
I think what I really enjoyed was some of the themes of the game. There was grief and death and just great messages of loss, but there was also light in that, and there were moments of joy, and it just showed how people cope with their grief, and it was, I don't know if that was their intention, but it was moving in the way that they were able to have these characters moving on, doing this mission that they knew was going to end in heartache.
Yeah.
And so, there's it. Do you want me to just give a synopsis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got some bullet points, but so it starts off in Zanarkand, where Titus or Titus, which is, it's been argued what his name
Titus.
is. Okay, so we'll call him Titus for the podcast.
Yeah. Because he swims. There's the tide.
It's the tide.
It should have never been Titus.
Yeah, no.
But we'll get into that later.
So he's in this world called Zanarkand, and Sin, which is a great threat in the world, comes and destroys the world. He wakes up after that destruction, and he's in Spira, which is a different. It seems like a different world, and he meets Yuna, who's a summoner, who her quest is to defeat Sin, and so he meets the Guardians, and he becomes a Guardian along with them after proving himself, but. He's kind of he plays a fool in this world. He doesn't know anything, and so people think that he's being difficult on purpose, or that he's just really dumb, or that his brain has been affected by sin so much that he can't remember anything about this world. And so they go through the temples to gain what are called aeons. And those are summons, basically, like you can call them, and they do a lot of damage, and they're similar summons that have been in other Final Fantasy games. Yeah. So you've got Ifrit and Bahamut and things like that, and but you find out that in order to get the final Aeon at the last temple, one of the Guardians becomes the Aeon. And Yuna decides not to do that, and that we're going to fight Sin, who is Titus's father, as it turns out. Like, you learn that, and it's a secret for a long time. Anyway, you defeat Sin in the end. He's the final boss, and there is a point where you realize that Titus will not survive if Sin is defeated.
Yeah, right.
And it's a really it's kind of a hard moment, because you're like, well, this is the main character. After you beat the game, it's supposed to be a happily ever after. He's supposed to marry Yuna. They're gonna this is how it's gonna be. This is the new world, and it's and you struggle with that fact that that's not how it's gonna be, and you have to kill your father, and it's what a great game.
Yeah. No, like, to touch on some of the things that happen throughout the story. So yeah, like, Titus is, you as the player are like left in the dark. You don't know why or how he got to Spira until you find out that I believe he's a dream of the Fates. The Fates are like the overarching gods, and it's like they dreamt him into this existence to help them with defeating Sin. But once that is all completed, they're going to wake up and he's going to be gone, and that all that is completed. And so you're going through this this journey to help these people that you fall in love with, especially like Titus falls in love with Yuna, and towards the end, knowing that it's all not for you. But the beautiful thing about the game, and what it meant, why it meant something big to me too, is because beyond the love between Titus and Yuna, it's the closure between him and his relationship with his father. And I actually got the game in a time where I didn't have a great relationship with my father. So having that closure between him and Jex was like really, really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've got notes on that, and I'll touch on that later.
Yeah. So within the story, I want to ask, like, were there any specific moments that stood out to you and any characters that meant a lot to you?
Okay, well then I'll touch on this now because it all comes back to Jecht for me.
Yeah.
He is this character who is rough around the edges. Yuna's father was the summoner who defeated Sin before this last time of calm, and Jecht, who is Titus's father, was Yuna's father's guardian, and so he became the final Aeon, and that's how they defeated Sin, and so that's why you have to fight him in the end. But he's in jail when they find him initially. He's drunk in jail, and they're like, we want you to travel with us. You're a skilled fighter, things like that. And you see him soften and become a better person than when he originally came to Spira. He stopped drinking, and I think Titus struggled with that when he found that out, because you find the Jecht tapes. You find little holographic things all over the world that he left behind, and it's basically like home videos. He sets the camera down and then he talks to his boys, and you find out a lot about how his character changes, and it softened my heart towards him. And so at the end, there's this part where Titus had defeated him, and Jecht's like, "You're gonna cry. You always cry. Look at you crying." And Titus is like, "I hate you," and Jecht is like, "Save it for later." And the way that he said it was so loving, because after that, Titus is like, "You're right. I have to save this. We have to save the world." Kind of, we got time to cry later. Let's deal with this problem at hand. And it was just a moment where you realized that Titus obviously didn't hate him, but he had so much resentment towards him, and that finally he got closure, and he was able to really get the closure that he needed from his dad all that time, because his dad took off 10 years ago, in his timeline, and so he hadn't seen him for 10 years, and so it was able to give him the closure that he needed.
Yeah.
And I think that's the last time I ugly cried at a game.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that was, I think I ugly cried when she goes to hug him and like falls through. That's the part that got me into the game. That was just like, no, God, no, not like this, not my boy.
And not at this time. Like, I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah. So touching on like the cast of characters, because in every Final Fantasy game they always have a colorful cast. Which of them stood out to you the most, and why is it not Wakka, the racist?
So what's funny is Wakka's voice is John DiMaggio, who is Bender from Futurama, and Jake the Dog from Adventure Time,
and Marcus Phoenix from Gears of War.
Yes. He's got such a great voice. I loved all the characters. I didn't really care for Kimahri because he was kind of a nothing. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of lines. There weren't many interactions for you to. I loved Auron. As the mentor, and he was such a beast in combat. He was so strong, and I think his was the only celestial weapon that I got. But we liked Lulu. My wife called her Chesty LaRue.
Chesty LaRue.
And it's funny, some of the things that I enjoyed about it. about that game was the design
Yeah.
of all the characters. Tetsuya Nomura, he's the greatest character designer. He gave us Sephiroth.
Mm-hmm.
He gave us Kingdom Hearts. He's the director on Kingdom Hearts. Gave us all those characters. And Sonic Adventure. He took a lot of inspiration, I think, from Sonic Adventure. But his Final Fantasy characters always have so many belts.
Yeah.
Lulu had the belt dress. Squall has belts up his arms.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people would tease him about it and be like, why do you have so many belts on your characters? And he was like, you know what? I'm putting more belts on them.
Yeah.
And so that's why some of the characters have an insane amount of belts.
They have an insane amount. There was a small phase I went through where I wore multiple belts because of him. It was very dumb.
I love that. That's so good.
But moving on from the story, visually, so kind of like how you're saying about the character design, what were some of the things that stood out to you or were super memorable about Final Fantasy X?
So the part about Sonic Adventure that I think there's a lot of games that came out in the early 2000s that were like by the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic Adventure 2, Kingdom Hearts had ocean, Wind Waker, Mario Sunshine. All these games kind of had a coast aesthetic, and it was very early 2000s, and it reminds me of like drinking a Sobe.
Mm-hmm.
You remember those?
Oh, Sobe,
like that
strawberry banana. That was my go-to.
It's so good, and those games remind me of my early teenage years.
Yeah,
and so it's interesting to go back and play this game because this is the first time I'd played it, and it's like, wow, this is so 2000s.
Yeah,
but in a good way.
No,
I like it. I like the design a lot about it.
I agree. And when you make the comparison to the characters looking similar or the design, I never really put two and two that Sin looks a lot like Chaos.
Yeah.
So similar type of like giant amalgamation of fish, colossal creature type thing. So, yeah. Aside from that was so one of my favorite things about like going into a game store, right, is like the box art. And almost every single one of the Final Fantasy games, I'm a big fan of like the box art and the symbol that they do for the title.
Yeah.
The
I don't know what to call it, but like just the splash art that they have
that they always have that kind of gives you a glimpse into what the story's about. But yeah, I think that one is Yuna and Titus, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but, the blue and the yellow one swooping. It's it's cool. I like it.
Was there anything else visually that really stuck with you from the game?
Visually, well, I like the way that it was animated, and it's interesting how some of the speech doesn't, like, they would say sentences that didn't quite make sense because of the way the translation is. They wanted to be able to fit an English sentence onto a Japanese anime, because it was all Japanese animation still originally, and then they put the English dub over it, and so some of the translations are a little wonky, and I like how they tried to make it match.
Yeah.
I love this game.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think it's my favorite Final Fantasy. So, moving on to kind of like what you're talking about with the translations, music and audio.
So good.
What is it? The Xanarkin soundtrack?
Xanarkin, for the title screen they play To Xanarkin.
Yeah, To Xanarkin is one of my favorites.
One that I really liked is Calm Before the Storm.
Mm-hmm.
That's Nobuo Uematsu. He did all of the Final Fantasies up until this one. He did partial of this one, but he had help from Masashi Hamazu, and he does kind of more ambient. I call it beat boop music.
Beat boop?
Yeah, where it's I don't know, it's kind of more electronic.
Yeah.
Sounding, whereas Uematsu does like the orchestras and the pianos and things like that. But not in a bad way, just a different way. And I like both of their contributions to the soundtrack. It's so good. My wife plays arrangements of a lot of the songs.
Yeah.
From all the Final Fantasy games, but especially Calm Before the Storm was one that she picked out. Like when I was playing, she was like, "What's this song?"
Yeah.
And it's nice that the soundtrack will tell you what song's playing.
I'm not the greatest at always remembering the name of tracks, but I remember liking the song from whatever the lightning temple that you went to.
Yeah, the
And
Lightning
then-
Temple was good.
And then especially when you fight Seymour's, Seymour. Also, I hate that
Seymour's
motherfucker.
battle theme is so good,
Yeah.
and I hate that he's one of the most hateable characters
Yes.
I've ever fought.
Yes. One of my first rage moments come from him, and not specifically from fighting him.
Yeah,
It's just small tangent. Is when he kissed Yuna. I was like, yo, I hate that man. I hate
Yeah.
that man. When he forced kissed Yuna, I was like, I have to kill him. Don't you kiss my girl.
I was so angry because he like swooped in and tried to just jack your spot, basically. Like, you were going off on this journey to save the world, and he's like, I'm gonna save the world. That's how he talks, and save the world by marrying Yuna and then fighting Sin. And I just what a weird guy.
Yeah. I don't fuck. All my niggas hate Seymour.
Yeah, he incredible character design.
Yeah.
Like, to make me hate him so much.
Yeah, I hate everything about him. His hair, his outfit, everything about him. But definitely loved his song.
His song, his battle theme is really good.
Yeah.
Is that the dun 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 dun?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that song is incredible. I didn't even play 10, and I love that song.
Yeah.
The arrangements that they did for the battle theme is probably one of my favorites, aside from Sephiroth's theme, One Winged Angel. The instrumentals they've done for that is really good, but this one, they have like a James Bond horn section, and it sounds really really pleasing to my ears. You know, it's like, oh, I'm ready to fight.
Yeah.
Listening to this song, it's fun.
Was aside from those tracks, was there any specific, like, I want to say, musical moment that was a big deal for you?
When they were in the lake,
Yes.
what
Yeah.
was that called?
I don't remember the name of the track, but when
But
they
it
were
was
like,
this
for the,
lake,
for the
the
first,
music
that was
for
the
that.
first kiss, right?
Yeah.
It was in the lake. Yeah. When they're swimming through the water.
That was a really
Yeah.
cool part. I don't remember that song name, but
Yeah.
I enjoyed.
I like that one.
There's
And
all the cinematics in that was really
yeah,
good.
Yeah, there's that one, and then there's the song when Yuna's doing her first
The first sending,
the first sending. Yeah,
that was beautiful.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
I like that a lot.
And small shout out to 10-2, the opening song for 10-2. What Can I Do For You? That song was so tight. I don't care what nobody says.
The pop one?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pop one. Yeah. I love that. I love that song. Okay, so moving on from music, gameplay. What were some of the, like, how did you feel about the combat? How did you feel about Blitzball, especially? Like,
That's funny because I brought up both of those things. I thought the combat was tight. Like, it was smooth.
yeah.
It was really good, especially coming off of like some other games that it didn't flow as well. So in the HD remaster, they do a lot of, in other HD remasters that Square Enix has done in 7, 8, 9, they do the stat boost, the speed boost, and no random encounters. But the HD remaster didn't have any of those, so it was basically like playing the
Same game.
same game. And so I got a lot of I put a lot of time in. Well, I was pushing 50 hours at the end, just because I had to grind so much to try and get to a point where I could beat the final boss. And then I thought about going and fighting all the Dark Aeons, which is like post game stuff, and I never got around to that because they would swap me down. But the graphics got an upgrade and the performance got an upgrade, but as far as Blitzball goes, I was not good at it. And I think just because I didn't take the time to strategize as well as I could have, because I've read strategy guys and they're like, yeah, make this, like the Bulls from the 90s, like the best Blitzball team to ever be created. And I think if I would have taken the time, I could have done better at Blitzball.
Yeah. No, I played a lot of the Blitzball. Spent way too much time in the first game that you come across. Like putting it all together. Xanarkin Abes for life, but yeah, Blitzball was really fun. I love the concept, and I kind of always look forward to any other type of mini game in upcoming Final Fantasy games that'll give me that same feeling. For better or for worse, even if the game is bad, I like the fact that there's always a like a game
Chocobo Racing.
like Chocobo Racing, some
Yeah.
type of mini game that is a little bit different than the traditional combat.
The
that you
actual
do.
game, yeah.
But when it comes to gameplay and the combat, how did you like how they handled different characters, the backline?
I liked it a lot,
Aeons, all
actually.
that.
I liked how, well, one, it was a pure turn-based game
Mm-hmm.
because since 4, I believe, they've had the attack bar.
ATB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that battle system, while is genius and I like it a lot, it allowed me to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. And being able to pull people from your bench and use them in real time was nice. And it had the counter on the side, the turn counter, so you could see, oh, my turn's coming up, but if I use haste now, I could get an extra turn in before he attacks. And so just being able to see turn order is really good too.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a lot of UI stuff, but I enjoyed. I think they did a really good job with the battle system. I'm having a hard time with Final Fantasy VIII's battle system.
Yeah.
But it's the same team. 8's team created 10 as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess they definitely improved on
They
on quite a
improved,
few
yeah.
games.
They, in my mind, maybe they think it was a whopping success, but I don't. It's hard. It's hard to get along with.
Yeah. No, I understand. Okay, and then moving on to the last part, impact. What kind of impact would you say this game has had on you?
So I pulled a journal entry that I wrote, and it says, I haven't felt like this about a game for a long time. I haven't walked aimlessly around my house formulating strategies like this for a long time. A lot of odd behaviors that come up when I'm stuck on a particularly difficult puzzle or boss. And so I remember writing that, and I was like walking around outside my house, kicking a rock, like, how am I going to do this? And I think the last time I did that was when I beat Chrono Trigger for the first time.
Yeah.
And Lavos is one of the hardest bosses I've ever fought, but I had to take like 5 days off from playing that game, like from the point where I got frustrated and then took a 5-day break and then came back to it, and I had refreshed all of my strategies in my mind, and so I had to do that for 10. I took a few days off. I didn't think about it for a while, or I thought about it too much to the point where I had to say, okay, I'm not going to play this. And then when I pick it back up, I was able to beat the boss, and it was wonderful. But just that it had that kind of impact that I had to write it down was it's funny, but also interesting.
Yeah. No, it's every now and then you come across games that really what's the word? Take you away.
Yeah.
In that kind of way, and that was one of them. It's only happened to me with a few games, but that's what gives them so much staying power.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm happy you brought that game. That's one of my favorite games. Love
you.
Final Fantasy
Yeah.
X. I think that it should always be given its flowers. Aside from Final Fantasy VII, I think that's one of the best ones that that Square has made.
For sure.
And I hope
agree
that
with
we
that.
get more of those in the future.
Yeah.
You know, awesome.